My name's Nick Birmingham. In this series of short videos, I'm going to show you my first attempt at making a medieval style longbow, like the one you see behind me, out of a single piece of wood. Now it's important to stress that I'm not an experienced bowyer. Therefore this video should not be seen as a how-to guide to making your own bow. What it is merely a record of my own attempt. Ideally, I'm looking to make a bow with a draw weight of 100 to 110 pounds. But until I start working this wood, I can't be 100% sure that it's dense enough to give me that kind of draw weight. The ring count, seen here on the end of the bow, suggests that it should be. But there's always a chance that it might be rotten or cracked inside. Whether I end up with a fully working bow, or whether it breaks while making it. Rest assured that this video will show everything, good and bad, so that hopefully by the end of the series you will feel confident to go away and have a go at making your own bow. So let's start by having a look at the piece of wood I've chosen for my bow. I'm going to be making this bow out of yew, Italian yew to be precise, Latin name Taxus baccata. This wood is grown in the mountains at altitude, where the cold climate and poor soil conditions ensured that the tree grew slowly, so that the distance between each year's growth rings is quite small. They're tightly packed together, which gives the wood a higher level of density and therefore resilience to being bent, which makes it better suited to making a powerful bow. The creamy coloured sapwood consists of the outermost rings of living wood just below the bark, and it's this which conducts the water up the tree to the leaves. The sapwood will form the back of the bow, the side facing away from the archer, and it's ideally suited to resist the tensile forces put on the wood when the bow is fully drawn. This dark orange coloured heartwood makes up the dead centre of the tree, and this will form the belly of the bow, the side facing towards the archer. The heartwood resists the compressive forces put on the wood when the bow is fully drawn, and it's this combination of the different properties of sapwood and heartwood working together that makes yew such a great wood for making bows. So the first job is to remove the bark from what will become the back or the outer face of the bow. And to do this, I'm going to use a draw knife. So as you can see, all I'm doing is taking the bark down in very shallow scrapes, and as soon as I see any of the creamy coloured sapwood starting to appear, I'm leaving that area alone and moving on. Now it's very important that I don't damage this top layer of sapwood beneath the bark, because as I said earlier, it's this surface that will take the tensile forces when the bow is drawn, and any damage to that surface will be a weakness that could cause the sapwood to fail and the bow to break. So that's the last of the outer bark removed, and what I'm left with is this brown cambium, which is a layer between the bark and the sapwood, responsible for new growth rings. This cambium is really thin, and if I tried to take it all off with a draw knife, then I risk taking some of the sapwood off as well. So it's now time to ditch the draw knife and start using these cabinet scrapers instead. Now it's easy to make your own scrapers out of an old steel bandsaw blade, but I chose to buy these in a pack of 4 because they came in a variety of shapes, some with flat sides, others rounded or concave, and they'd be really useful for following the contours of the wood around the knots, especially later when I come to shape the oval cross section of the belly. To remove the cambium, I've chosen a scraper with a rounded, convex edge so that I have maximum control over just how much of the scraper touches the wood at any one time. But that's the last of the cambium removed, and although I found the process fairly easy, there are quite a few places where I've gone through a layer or two of sapwood beneath. So I'm now going to find where I've gone through the most growth rings, which seems to be here, where as you can see I've gone through 2. And then using my scrapers and various grades of sandpaper, I'm then going to very gently go down to that growth ring and then follow that back along the entire length of the bow. Well, I think that's as good as it's going to get. So to recap, you see me remove the bark, the cambium layer, and at least attempt to take the sap down to a single growth ring. Although even now, my efforts are far from perfect. Join me for part 2, when you'll see me mark out the dimensions of the bow on the stave and make those first cuts. I'll see you then.